This is KSL Sports Live, broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services studios.
Welcome into KSL Sports for our girls basketball bracket reveal show. Thank you for joining us, everyone. So excited to be here with you. We have Nate Thatcher. My name is Dane Stewart. We're going to reveal both the 5A and 6A state tournament brackets for you live. You get to see your favorite team and where they match up. Just so that you know, here's how the show will go. We'll start with the 5A bracket, then we'll reveal the 6A bracket. We're going to take a short break after that 6A bracket, but stay with us. We're going to come back. We're going to break down different teams, matchups. We'll dive into some of these teams, maybe picks. We'll see. But let's dive right into it, shall we? We're going to start with our 5A girls bracket. And your number one overall seed, you see it, the Pleasant Grove Vikings, region champs out of Region 7. They get that first round bye. They will take on the winner of the 16-17 matchup, and that being Westfield and Bonneville. I see those two teams both at 11 and 12. Interesting first-round matchup here.
Yeah, Bonneville has multiple three-point threats, in my opinion, in McDonald and Jimenez. That's going to be a great matchup, but obviously whoever wins that first round, it's a tough contest to go against undefeated Pleasant Grove in the second round.
The bottom half of this first quadrant will show you the 8 seed. It's the West Jordan Jags securing a first-round bye, and their opponent to be the 9th seed Springville Red Devils. Springville finished third in Region 7, taking on the Hillcrest Huskies in that first round.
Hattie Templeton for Springville, I believe, is a super active player, one of the players to watch in this tournament.
Let's move to our second quadrant. We'll show you the bottom half of this bracket. That's the 4 seed, the Fremont Silver Wolves, region champs, getting that first round bye, and they will take on the winner of the 13-20. That matchup being Granger and Spanish Fork. Spanish Fork, one of those teams you always got to watch out for in this tournament. Granger has a player who could be really interesting first round.
Yeah, I also like Haley Harper for Granger, second best three-point shooter in 5A in the state. And like you mentioned, Spanish Fork can be a dangerous team as well, so I really like that first-round matchup.
The other half of this second quadrant will be the 5 seed, the Alpha Hawks. Impressive win late. We'll talk about that later, securing that first-round bye. And their opponent will be the winner of Woods Cross and Skyline.
This is an interesting quadrant. You have a first-round region game, but whoever wins in Woods Cross versus Skyline, you're playing another region opponent in Alta in the second round. So very interesting matchup.
Yeah, indeed. Let's move to our third quadrant, shall we? We'll show you the 2 seed, the Battle for Red Hawks, defending state champions, securing that first round bye. Their second round opponent will be the winner of Hunter and Timpview.
Grace Gallagher for Hunter, the top shot blocker in the state, averaging over 6 blocks per game. She's going to be a defensive force to be reckoned with if Hunter's able to get past that first round. We'll play Battlefield in a second.
She's been a beast all year for the Wolverines. The other half of this quadrant, the 7 seed, Olympus Titans, securing a first round bye. Great year for the Titans. And their second round opponent will be the winner of Maple Mountain and Salem Hills.
Another region game to start out here in the first round. Leah Bailey, my personal favorite player to watch in this first round, averaging over 20 points per game. Super fun center to watch play basketball. And just as you mentioned, Olympus having a great year. Kaya Newton averaging almost 20 points per game. This is a really fun quadrant.
It is a really fun quadrant. Could be very interesting region matchups as this plays out. Let's move to our fourth quadrant here in the 5A girls state bracket. Your 3 seed, the West Panthers. What a year for Coach Solovy's group. Region champs, only 1 loss on the year. That came out of state with the first round bye. And the West Panthers will take on the winner of Payson and Box Elder.
Emmy Hales for Payson is one of my favorite players on the defensive side of the ball. I believe she can pickpocket anyone, so you got to watch out when you play her in this tournament.
One more reveal here. Wasatch Wasps with a first round bye, taking on the winner of Clearfield and Brighton. Really another interesting first round game here, Nate.
Yeah, I understand Brighton is the 22 seed in this tournament, but Sophie Nielsen is number 2 in 5A in scoring, averaging over 25 points per game. Again, I understand it's a lower seed, but she's going to be a fun player to watch in that first round matchup.
So there you have it, your 5A girls basketball state brackets revealed here. We'll come back. We'll talk about more of these games and matchups. But let's move on to 6A, shall we? We know that you're dying to see how 6A shakes out. It starts with one first-round game. You see it here, the 17-16 seed, Harriman Mustangs, Corner Canyon Chargers. The winner of that will advance to take on the number 1 seed in this bracket.
I believe the difference in this first-round game is going to be the perimeter shooting, and I think Addison Porter is a top 10 three-point shooter in 6A. Could be the difference maker to help Harriman move on to the second round.
Right this game off, Corner Canyon has an upset in their resume. Let's move to the top half of the girls basketball state bracket. Westlake, your number 1 overall seed, will play the winner of that 16-17 matchup. Your other matchup, the 8-9 Davis and American Fork.
Chapman for Davis averaging almost 16 points per game, but obviously as the 8-9 seed, it's always a tough draw because you're going to have to play, again, your top seed Westlake Thunder in the second round once you advance.
Let's move to the other portion. You see Mountain Ridge with the number 4 seed. They'll take on Weber in that opening round.
Yeah, Jessica Maynard for Mountain Ridge is a top 3 scorer in the state, and I really like where Mountain Ridge is placed on this side of the bracket. I think it could play very well for the Sentinels.
Your 5 seed, Lone Peak, region champs out of Region 3, and they'll take on a region foe in Lehigh.
I believe this is a good matchup in the first round. It's 2 teams with similar scoring outputs, so I'm very interested to see who really can outplay who in this first round.
We'll move to the bottom half of this 6A state bracket as we'll show you the 2 seed. It's the Syracuse Titans, Region 1 champs. What a year for the Titans as they'll take on the Layton Lancers in a Region 1 rematch in the opening round.
Yeah, we'll get to Syracuse obviously when we get into the discussion portion of the bracket, but obviously the Titans, a very excellent year. I'm excited to talk about Maylee Anderson later on in the show.
And the 7 seed in this bottom half, Copper Hills will take on Farmington. You see identical records here in this 7-10 matchup.
Yeah, for this specific game, I believe the key is actually going to be the rebounding battle. I know that's not something you hear quite often, but I'm really interested to see how that game shakes out.
So we show you the 3 seed, Cedar Valley, the Aviators, region champs, outright region champs in Region 2, coming into the 2 seed to take on the 14-seeded Riverton Silver Wolves.
Again, I understand Riverton's a lower seed, but Maggie Hamblin is the best shot blocker in the state in 6A. So once again, you have a defensive force to be reckoned with if you're the 3-seed Aviators.
One more matchup here, Bingham, the 6 seed to take on the 11-seeded Skyridge Falcons. Really interesting matchup here between these two. Both have put together postseason runs. They'll meet up early here in 2026.
Yeah, the minors for Bingham have 4 players that average around double figures, so I'll be intrigued to see who can step up besides those main 4 to help boost them on as they move into the tournament potentially.
There you have it, your 5A and 6A brackets revealed for you right here. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll dive into teams, matchups, give you some picks, other things to have on your radar with the state tournament right around the corner. You're watching the Bracket Reveal on KSLSports.com.
You guys, Wendy's has new Biggie deals starting at just $4. So now you can decide how biggie you want to go, which is kind of beautiful. I'm not condensating, you're condensating. More Biggie options so you can get more of what you really want at Wendy's.
With a Tab Spend checking account, you earn big rewards. It's hard to not make a scene.
Cash or card?
Oh, my card's right here.
That's a big card.
You should see how much it's earned me. Sorry, Grandma. Tab Spend isn't just another checking account. It's packed with benefits.
How do I get one?
Just scan this QR code or go to tabbank.com. It's all online and super easy to get started.
To dare mighty things means to embrace challenges. It means to welcome a high-energy culture that prioritizes belonging. To dare mighty things means drawing inspiration from experienced faculty and alums who encourage you to think big. It means to be a part of time-honored traditions while also forging new ones. To dare mighty things means celebrating your achievements with pride and joy, knowing you can make a difference by daring to be great. Join us at the Huntsman School of Business, where we dare mighty things. That's the Huntsman difference.
Welcome back to the UCCU Savings Spotlight.
Today's play of the day goes to Becky, a single mom who just got her son Max a youth debit card from UCCU.
This is a big win for Max, who knows that UCCU mobile banking makes it easy for his mom to add money to his debit card anytime.
It's also a big win for Becky, who knows it also makes it easy to monitor her child's spending anytime. Final score, 1 happy son, 1 responsible mom.
With the assist from UCCU.
One of those long days working on your feet? Turn your aching feet to happy feet at Salt Lake Running Company. Our award-winning trained staff will provide a custom shoe fitting that will help you find the shoes, inserts, and socks that will make your workday the best it can be. Locally owned and operated for 30 years, SLRC offers rewards, training groups, races, and free community events. Visit us in-store or online today at slrc.com. Your work feet and workout life will get a boost.
Wendy's has new chicken tenders. Crispy, juicy, tendery, tendies. Ooh, that's fun to say. Tendies, tendies, tendies. And they're so good, maybe we should change our... For tendies you're gonna know by name, gotta be Wendy's.
Welcome back here to KSL Sports. Our 5A bracket. Let's dive into this, shall we? As we unveiled it, we want to talk about some of these teams. We're going to start first with the champions out of Region 7, that being Pleasant Grove, undefeated on the year. Man, the Vikings have been so impressive.
Yeah, they have a lot of great quality wins versus Kanab, Springville, Wasatch, Lone Peak, but I really like their head duo in Tabitha Clark and Sutton Villa. 17.3 points per game for Tabitha, averaging around 6 rebounds per game. And Sutton, almost a double-double average on the season, over 15 points a contest, almost 9 rebounds a game. I think that's what sets them apart. We talked a little bit about it last week in our bracket reveal shows for the lower classifications, but the difference maker is really when you have multiple players that can average double figures in this tournament that can step up for your team, and I think Pleasant Grove has that.
You see that Wasatch game, that one was close, but really this has been a team for Pleasant Grove that has shot the ball extremely well. They've got Zuri Nordstrom, they also have the Sikander sisters there. You talk about Tabitha Clark, she can light it up from long range, and Sutton Villa is a matchup problem on the inside for this PG offense, as they have had their way. Region, non-region, they've been fantastic all year long. They will be a tough team to deal with. Very deserving of the #1 overall seed and the region champs out of Region 7. Let's move to another team, shall we? Let's move to Region 6. The Bountiful Redhawks has been defending state champions for the Redhawks, trying to continue that streak going. Coach Burton, it's been another impressive year for his group.
Yeah, obviously 18th season for Coach Burton, looking to get win number 281 in the first game here of the tournament. But obviously, like you mentioned, coming off of winning a state championship versus West, I think Malika Satuwala is one of the most impressive players to watch in this tournament, averaging over 21 points per game, almost 8 rebounds a contest as well. And as you can see right here in this graphic, like a lot of key wins. They know how to win against really good teams, which obviously comes into play when you get to the state tournament. Everyone you're going to play has had a great year and a great resume, and so you look at Bountiful's resume on the left, it's stacked.
Satuwala gets a lot of the headlines, and she deserves every one of them. Malia Nelson is another one to keep your name on, or your eyes on. Intense defensively, can hit big-time shots for this Bountiful group. You see that late loss to Alta. That was the last game of the year for the Redhawks. As if they needed any more motivation, you lose the last game of the regular season, they're going to be ready to go, no doubt. Let's talk about this Region 6, though, a little bit, because this region has been so tough. We talk about Alta. You see the seed lines there to the left for these respective teams. Alta got that win over Bountiful last game of the year. Olympus, though, this has been a really great year for the Titans, Nate.
Yeah, it's interesting because historically Olympus has not been great on this and the girls' side of the bracket, but what an excellent year for the Titans. Really love the way that they've been playing this entire year. We mentioned it when we revealed the seeding earlier in the show, but Kai Newton is one of my favorite players to watch. Obviously one of the highest averaging scores here in the 5A classification, but even though they're the 7th seed, I really like their path to move forward in this bracket. And just like we mentioned, it's been a tough year, or tough historically for Olympus, but they've had such a good year.
They've been great. Kai's been fantastic. Ava Blair, another player to keep an eye on as well for the Titans. But let's move on, shall we? Let's go talk now about the West Panthers. This is another fantastic year for West. Lost in the state championship game last year. Coach Solovey, this group gets up and down the floor.
Yeah, their only loss, as you can see in the graphic, is to a team out of state in Mater Dei out of California. And just as we mentioned with Bountiful, they have a lot of key wins. That graphic is really stacked. I like, as you mentioned, Falatea averaging almost 27 points per game. It's such a difference maker when you have a player that can average almost 30 over the course of the entire season. And that's why I really like West. I know that they have one loss. It's not like Pleasant Grove, who's undefeated, and I know one loss isn't like a big deal, but I really like the way that they're stacked up. And again, I like their placement on this bracket. I think we've got a really good tournament ahead of us in the 5A classification.
Mid-American Fork beating Cedar Valley. You see it there. How about this? You talked about the season for Kylie Falatea. 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 steals per game. We said they get up and down the floor. They pressure you a lot all game long. You got to be ready to deal with that pressure if you're going to play the Panthers. And then you mix in Tiana Faw. They've got multiple players who can go double figures, points and rebounds. This is a very, very tough West team to match up with region champs out of Region 4. One more team we want to highlight. The number 4 seed, Fremont. I mean, this has been a group that's been competitive regardless of their classification. Region champs, state tournament contenders. Another kind of group for Coach DeLaBau here that figures to throw their hat in the ring.
Yeah, and just as I mentioned with the teams in previous graphics, I know obviously with a lot of these top seeds, we're talking about how stacked their graphic is with key wins, but I think personally, I know I've mentioned this with a lot of the top seeds, I think Fremont up in that top quadrant, you know, if they're able to get past the second round, move on to the quarterfinals, they've got a good matchup against potentially Woods Cross, Skyline, or Alta out of Region 6. I think their path to the semis and potentially beyond, it could be a little bit easier than others throughout this bracket. And so I think the Silver Wolves could be placed in a great spot here to make a run.
Abby Christensen, 19 points per game, 6 boards per game. Wadman MacArthur, other contributors for that offense for Fremont. You see a 1 point loss to Bountiful. You see they can compete with any team in this 5A state tournament. Should be really, really fun. Nate, I want to ask you, when you look at 5A, right, we're going to ask you the question, are you taking one or are you taking the field? To win a state championship in 5A.
As I mentioned, there's a lot of potential in this bracket, but I think on 5A, I'm going to take the 1 seed. Okay. I mean, you just can't. It's hard for me to go against a team that's undefeated, that's proven night in, night out that they can win, and Pleasant Grove has shown that consistently. And what a year. I mean, for a first-year head coach to come in and set the tone. Again, no losses on the year. You want to keep that going. There's a reason why the regular season can ramp you up to get into the playoffs. You not only have the experience in winning, you have the expectation of winning once you get into the tournament. So I'm going to take Pleasant Grove on this one. I'm going to take them.
Okay. One more question I want to ask you here just real quick. And when you look at this, is there any team that you see that could potentially make a run, maybe an underdog or a dark horse to keep your eye on in 5A?
You know, I might have hinted at this earlier on in the show, and maybe you could say that I'm biased as a former graduate, but I think I might take the Titans as the 7 seed as a potential team to maybe make a run here. I like the way that they're set up. We mentioned a couple of their players that could maybe break out here in this playoff. So I think for right now, my dark horse and my potential runner for this bracket is going to be the Olympus Titans.
Interesting. I'll give you a couple teams to keep an eye on. One, Clearfield. This is a Clearfield team that they lost both games to Fremont this year, but both were competitive, and I think they lost the final one by 1, if I recall correctly. Izzy Wyaskett has been a legacy player there, multi-year contributor starter for Coach Soder's group. That could be a group to keep an eye on. And Wasatch is one of those two, right, that I think we maybe didn't talk a ton about. They've been strong all year long. They're the 6 seed. They would take on that Clearfield group, and, they'd have to match up with West, but there's a couple out of there that I think, may surprise some teams as the tournament unfolds. Let's move to 6A, shall we? We want to talk about a couple teams in 6A, and let's start first with, you see it here, the Syracuse Titans. Champions in Region 1. Congratulations, Coach Hamblin, on a great year.
Yeah, and I mentioned when we revealed the bracket, I was excited to talk about Maylee Anderson, averaging over 16 points per game, almost 5 rebounds a contest, over 4 assists. I think they're really good at matching pace of play throughout the entire course of the season. We've seen that they've been able to go on offensive outbursts, but also maybe when it's a low-scoring game and it's a defensive battle, they're able to pull out those wins and they're able to keep it close. So I would love to see, and we'll talk about Westlake moving on in the show, but I think those two teams match up very well in pace of play. As I mentioned, they're able to really play whatever game is in front of them.
Maylee Anderson, 1,000 points over her career. What a career she's had for Syracuse as she leads them to a region championship this season for Syracuse. Let's move to another one, right? And when you talk 6A, you have to talk Lone Peak. Nate, we have to do it again this year.
I just think as long as Coach Warner is there, we don't have an option. She's just a winner, and this year is no different. Obviously, the key story with this team is Kennedy Woolston being out, obviously, after a leg injury midway through the season, but they've been able to stay consistent because, just as I mentioned, Coach Warner knows how to win, but not only in the regular season, she knows how to win in this tournament. I mean, the fact that she has that many state championships in a row, with a fact to get another one consecutively without your star player is extremely impressive. It's a tough region, and I'm really impressed with Peyton Warner stepping up this season, becoming the leading scorer, averaging 11 points per game. Again, Lone Peak, a team to watch.
and just a freshman, too. They're going to have to deal with them for a while. And they've got pieces around that duo. This Lone Peak team is always a tough out. And, we expect them to be a tough out again this year. Let's move to Region 2, because this is one where if you notice how things played out, Westlake, your number 1 seed, not your region champ. Now, just a reminder, this is not done by any committee. This is all math based off of records and who you played, and you see the overall records there really being the difference. But you look at this Cedar Valley team, and they did something they've never done in program history before. They beat Westlake. That had never happened. Intense rivals on the boys or girls side. The girls got the first win this year over Westlake, and you see them coming in at region champs at 11-1.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's no person responsible for these rankings, so don't come at me or at you on social media. We're not responsible. But as you mentioned, Cedar Valley, I mean, what a year. I know you come in here as the 3 seed, but as you mentioned, they're able to do something they haven't been able to do before. There's something about that in a team where you accomplish something that hasn't been done in your program before, that it gives us a little bit of a spark. I think it gives you momentum. As you move forward in the playoffs, you understand that you're a team that's built different than it has been in the past. I think Cedar Valley fits that mold perfectly. And as we're seeing on this graphic, I know you're seeing that they have 4 key losses, but they're able to play these teams close. And I think that comes into play when you come into the playoff is you know how to play in close games, but now it's the point where can you get over the hurdle? Can you get the win? Can you move on in the bracket? I like the Aviators. They're in a really good spot.
You'll notice that first key win over Bountiful. That was the only loss that Bountiful had until the last game of the regular season. And you look at Daisy Thane and Hadley Whiting. I mean, this is a very, very deep offensive team for the Aviators. Ellie Larson as well. They're all around 10 points per game. This Cedar Valley team is very, very tough. Let's look at the top-seeded Westlake Thunder, though, because this is a group that they were number 1 all year long. They still are number 1 in the bracket.
What a year for Westlake, the school as a whole. I mean, both of these basketball programs are extremely impressive, but Avery Thompson and Ella Seymour, in my opinion, are a really good duo that pair very well together. Avery averaging almost 13 points per game, Ella averaging almost 12 points per game. And as I mentioned with Syracuse, I think both them and the Titans are very good at matching pace of play. So you can notice as you go throughout their season and you watch their games, they're really good at when they can score, 70 points plus, but also when it becomes a defensive outing, when buckets aren't being able to drop, you can trust the Thunder's defense to put on a show, keep themselves in the basketball game, and get out and get a win. And just as I mentioned with Syracuse and the other teams, playing close games matters when you get to the postseason because it's going to help you get over that hurdle and you have that experience of winning. Westlake, 19-4, 10-2, excellent season for the Thunder.
You see those losses, a lot of them are close, 3, 4 points. So, a play or 2 here, play or 2 there, and this is a team that we talk about being number 1 all year. They can continue to do that. Davis, the Davis Darts finished just second in that region. Still a good year. Do you expect Davis to be able to put together a run out of the 8 seed here?
I do. We can get to this obviously later on the show, talking about the field and the 1 seed, and I understand that as the 8 seed, they'd match up with Westlake potentially in their next game in the quarterfinals, but Jaleese Chapman and company have put on a really good show this year, and again, I know 8 seed is a tough draw in the playoff, but you mentioned, can they make a run? Absolutely they can. I think the Darts have that capability, and it's absolutely within their grasp.
They're going to have to be ready to go because that AF game in that second round is going to be no slouch. And then if you get past that, you got to take on the number 1 seed of Westlake Thunder. Be a tough path for Davis, but they've got experience with Kitchen and others, and with Kate Willard and others. We'll see if they can put it together. Boy, this tournament's going to be so much fun. We are so excited for this. Nate, if you had to take one or the field in 6A, where would you go?
On this one, I'm going to take the field. I'm not. That's not a slight against Westlake. We just talked about how good they can be, but I think this bracket is just so deep, and these teams have experience playing each other, playing close games against top-ranked opponents, that I just think there's too much potential for one of these teams to go on and make a run that I can't say confidently I'm going to take Westlake for sure. So I'm going to take the field on this one.
Okay, you got a dark horse in 6A?
There's so many. I just mentioned that we have too many teams. I can't say right now I'm going to pinpoint one team as a dark horse. But this is a bracket that I'm probably the most excited in the state to watch just because of, as I mentioned, the potential across the board.
Well, I'll give you one. I mean, the second round matchup between Bingham and Skyridge, the winner of that one, I think, could put together a run. That is a tough second round matchup. That first round game is on Tuesday. All these second round games are on Thursday. There's going to be great games, and we're going to have a lot for you to watch on stream right here on KSLSports.com. Want to remind you, you can download the KSL Sports app. You can catch all these postseason streams, including semifinals and state championships. Just click that QR code or go to wherever you download apps to bring that down onto your mobile device. You can also check these games out online at KSLSports.com. Thank you so much for joining us for our girls basketball bracket reveal show. For Nate Thatcher and everyone here at KSL, my name is Dane Stewart. We'll see you in the postseason en route to your team winning a state championship on KSLSports.com.
This is KSL Sports Live, broadcasting from the Mountain Home Services studios.
Welcome into the boys basketball state tournament bracket reveal show. Thank you for joining us, everyone. My name is Dane Stewart. Please be joined by Nate Thatcher. We're going to reveal the 5A and 6A state tournaments and give you a little bit of analysis. Let's dive right into 5A, shall we? We know you're all dying. Your number one seed, no surprise here. Timpview, your top seed, they earned that first round bye, and the T-Birds will take on the winner in that second round of Hillcrest and Alta coming in as the 16-17 matchup.
Excited to talk about Timpview as we move on later in the show, but in that 16-17 matchup, I'm really excited to watch Dash Riser in this contest. I believe he can be a difference maker for this Alta team and potentially make a show and make a game out of a potential second round game against Timpview.
The other part of this first quadrant, the 8 seed Bountiful Redhawks coming in with that first round bye to take on the winner of the 9 seed Payson Lions and 24 West Jordan.
Payson has a winnable game here in the first round, but obviously as the 9 seed, very tough road ahead for either Payson or West Jordan to move on in this bracket. Obviously to have to play the 8 seed Bountiful and then move on potentially and play Timpview later on.
Yeah, that's going to be the bracket that's going to be very challenging, obviously, with the T-Birds in there. Let's move to our second quadrant, shall we? We'll show you the 4 seed, that being the Wasatch Wasps out of Region 7. Great year out of Heber, getting that first round bye. They'll take on the winner of Salem Hills and Box Elder.
Box Elder has had a lot of experience playing in close contests this year. Can they get over the hump? Can they get a win in a close contest in this first round? Let's find out and see.
The other part of this second quadrant, your 5 seed, the Orem Tigers getting a 5 seed this year. That first round bye, take on the winner of PG and Fremont.
Vikings have played well against 6A opponents all year long. They have a lot of good experience. The Tigers, though, Simeon Sugaturaga, a player to watch in this tournament. I love that mini quadrant right there.
Yeah, mix that with Troy Kafusi. Watch out for Orem, folks. That could be a tough team to match up with. Let's move to our third quadrant, shall we? We'll show you the 2 seed. It is the Olympus Titans, Gavin Lowe and company with that first round bye. Another region championship for the Titans as they will take on the winner of Maple Mountain and West.
Can the dynasty continue for Olympus? I'm excited to talk about that later on in the show. For West, Elijah Albertson, such a great player to watch, averaging 15 points per game, over 6 rebounds a contest, and 6 assists per game. One of the most active players, not only in this quadrant, but in the entire tournament.
Let's show you the 7 seed, the Springville Red Devils, that duo of Hanson and Sundrup getting that first round bye. Their second round opponent will be the winner of Roy and Clearfield.
So we have a region matchup to start things off here in the first round. Obviously a tough draw for whoever wins that game against a tough Red Devils team on in that second round.
That's an interesting matchup. They just played with like 2 weeks left in the season. Let's move to our fourth quadrant. We'll reveal it for you. The 3 seed, the Highland Rams. Another first round bye for Coach Jones and his Rams. Their second round matchup, the winner of Westfield and Viewmont.
So Viewmont and Highland both coming out of Region 6. Viewmont potentially a dark horse in this tournament. Region 6 is deep. They have experience playing against tough teams, but Viewmont and Westfield have both played each other already this season, so a rematch here in the postseason.
Yeah, very, very interesting one there. And our final matchup here in this fourth quadrant, the 6 seed Cypress Pirates, region champs out of Region 4 with the first round bye. Their second round matchup will be the winner of Woods Cross and Northridge.
Woods Cross has a really good duo in Madden Johnson and Bendinger, and I believe they could prove dangerous in this tournament, even as the 11 seed.
Boy, a lot of interesting games here. We're going to spend a little bit more time, dive into these. But first, let's go to our 6A bracket. We'll reveal that for you here. One first-round game in 6A. You see it right there. The 16-17 matchup, Weber to host Cedar Valley.
I know the Aviators come in as the 17 seed, but I believe that their experience playing in a really tough Region 2 all season long could prove useful in this first-round matchup, being able to play against the top-ranked teams in the entire state.
That will be an interesting one. We'll see who they get to deal with as we'll move to our second round reveal. Most of these second round will start on Friday. Westlake, your number 1 seed in 6A. They will take on the winner of that 16-17 matchup.
Yeah, the Thunder obviously with a fantastic start to the season, going undefeated for a large majority, but coming off of back-to-back losses for the first time this year. Obviously last night in a loss to Harriman on the road that ended up giving up their single share of the region title.
They'll take on the winner of our 8-9 matchup, Lone Peak Corner Canyon. My goodness, these two meeting up in the second round of the 6A state tournament. Region foes going to play for the third time.
This is drama that belongs on HBO, folks. I love that Lone Peak and Corner Canyon are matching up as region foes here in this second round with a chance to take on the 1 seed Westlake Thunder. Moving on. Love that matchup.
Let's show you the bottom pairing. Layton, the number 4 seed, will take on Lehigh in the second round of the 6A state tournament.
Yeah, I really like Layton's path in this tournament as we'll see as we see who they'll potentially face up against if they win in this second round game, but I really like their placement on this bracket.
The other portion of this top half, the 5 seed Davis taking on a region foe and rival, the 12 seed Farmington Phoenix.
Yeah, 6A's got a lot of region matchups here in this second round. Davis, excited to talk about them later on in the show. A lot of potential there, but could they have some doubts that we might want to talk about?
We'll move to the bottom half of the 6A basketball tournament. Your number 2 seed, the preseason number 1, American Fork Cavemen, will take on Copper Hills in the second round.
Understand the Grizzlies have had a tough go of things, but I really like Reiser's play, how he's played throughout his entire career with the Grizzlies. And obviously, as you mentioned, American Fork, preseason favorite, coming in here as the 2 seed. Really good spot for them.
We show you the other matchup in that pairing, the 7 seed Skyridge Falcons, who've been hot as of late, taking on a co-region champ out of Region 2, the Harriman Mustangs.
This is probably the matchup I'm most excited for in this round. As you just mentioned, Harriman just got a share of that region title. Carla Mulford just became Harriman's all-time leading scorer, but this Skyridge team has experience playing in a really good Region 3. I love the 7-10 matchup.
That is a doozy. All right, let's move to the last portions here. Reveal Bingham, your 3 seed, take on a rival, the 14-seeded Riverton Silver Wolves.
Just as you mentioned, another region game, but actually they just played last night, so you're going to go back-to-back with Bingham and Riverton. Miners having a great season. Love their potential here in this tournament.
And your final matchup, the 6-seed Mountain Ridge Sentinels to take on the 11-seeded Syracuse Titans.
Both of these teams have high-quality wins. Obviously, Mountain Ridge getting a win against Westlake, and Syracuse able to beat a really good Davis team that's the 5 seed in this tournament. So both of these teams can compete with the best of the best.
There you have it, your 5A and 6A state tournament brackets revealed. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back, break down these matchups, teams, favorites, dark horses. Stay tuned for the boys basketball bracket reveal. We'll be back after this.
You guys, Wendy's has new Biggie deals starting at just $4. So now you can decide how biggie you want to go, which is kind of beautiful. I'm not condensating, you're condensating. More Biggie options so you can get more of what you really want at Wendy's.
With a Tab Spend checking account, you earn big rewards. It's hard to not make a scene.
Cash or card?
Oh, my card's right here.
That's a big card.
You should see how much it's earned me. Sorry, Grandma. Tab Spend isn't just another checking account. It's packed with benefits.
How do I get one?
Just scan this QR code or go to tabbank.com. It's all online and super easy to get started.
To dare mighty things means to embrace challenges. It means to welcome a high-energy culture that prioritizes belonging. To dare mighty things means drawing inspiration from experienced faculty and alums who encourage you to think big. It means to be a part of time-honored traditions while also forging new ones. To dare mighty things means celebrating your achievements with pride and joy, knowing you can make a difference by daring to be great. Join us at the Huntsman School of Business, where we dare mighty things. That's the Huntsman difference.
Welcome back to the UCCU Saving Spotlight.
Today's play of the day goes to Becky, a single mom who just got her son Max a youth debit card from UCCU.
This is a big win for Max, who knows that UCCU mobile banking makes it easy for his mom to add money to his debit card anytime.
It's also a big win for Becky, who knows it also makes it easy to monitor her child's spending anytime. Final score, 1 happy son, 1 responsible mom.
With the assist from UCCU.
One of those long days working on your feet? Turn your aching feet to happy feet at Salt Lake Running Company. Our award-winning trained staff will provide a custom shoe fitting that will help you find the shoes, inserts, and socks that will make your workday the best it can be. Locally owned and operated for 30 years, SLRC offers rewards, training groups, races, and free community events. Visit us in-store or online today at slrc.com. Your work feet and workout life will get a boost.
Wendy's has new chicken tenders. Crispy, juicy, tendery tendies. Ooh, that's fun to say. Tendies, tendies, tendies. And they're so good, maybe we should change our... For tendies you're gonna know by name, gotta be Wendy's.
Welcome back here to our 5A, 6A boys basketball bracket reveal. We're going to dive into a couple of these teams. Let's start in 5A and the number 1 overall seed, the Timpview T-Birds, who have just been impressive this year, Nate.
There's no other way that you can put it. The T-Birds are not only the most impressive team in 5A, as you mentioned, they're the most impressive team in the state. Brad Kitchen in his first season with the T-Birds has led them to a wonderful year at 21-1 overall. Obviously, we have to talk about Dean Rickert, averaging over 20 points per game, 5.5 rebounds a contest, leads the team in threes. Best team in the state by far. Looking to make it past. They had the same roster, just a little bit younger, got to the semifinals, lost to Olympus, but they just look much more senior and with way more experience than they did last year, and I think, obviously, a tough team to have a draw against in this tournament.
Well, there's two things. One, obviously, there's Rickert. You have Will Openshaw as well, who's also a D1 commit. He is a stud, can shoot outside. They'll play inside as well. Mason Ford, Jackson Palmer, and others. But the thing that people don't talk about with Timpview is their defense. This is a tough defensive team. They take everything away on the inside. They're going to force you outside. It's a very difficult team to break down. We saw that last year. They got upset in the tournament. They're the top seed. I figure there's some motivation for this group, but this is going to be a tough team for folks to deal with. Let's talk a little bit about Region 7, because this region, when you look at it, obviously Timpview the 1. How about Springville, Orem, Wasatch Basin? There's a lot of teams here, but the thing, pay attention to the right. This is a 9-team region. 8 of them double-digit wins on the season. This has been the deepest region all year. You see the seed lines there on the left. I mean, this region feels positioned like any of these teams could put together a run, Nate.
Just as you mentioned, the depth is extremely impressive. Obviously, we talk about Timpview being just a cut above the rest, but you're looking down all of these teams, and just as you mentioned, the capability to make a run, Springville, Orem, Wasatch, even talked about Payson. I mean, those are top 10 seeds. And in a playoff bracket and in a format like this, just as you mentioned, anyone can make a run. I mentioned when we revealed the bracket, the Tigers have a lot of potential. Simeon Sugataraga, you have a Utah basketball commit there with a couple football players from Orem on his side. Really good region.
And just to give you a feel, Orem and PG, they played once for region, but they played twice this year. They split. So again, the second to last team and the tied for second team went 1-1 against each other. That's how good this region has been. And again, any of them could put together a run. Let's move to Olympus, defending state champions, and maybe the best player in the state in Gavin Lowe.
I don't know if it could be exactly a maybe. His stats really speak for themselves. 24.8 points per game, over 5 rebounds a contest, over 5 assists per game, almost 4 steals per game as well. And Olympus in the middle of a dynasty right now. Coach Barnes with 5 state titles. This team obviously looking for a three-peat, try and continue that dynastic run, but as we mentioned, they're most likely going to have to go through those T-Birds later on in the bracket if they make it to the state championship once again. Titans are impressive across the board. I like their size down low and guys like Lazarus, and so can other guys besides Lowe step up will be my question. I think they're built to win when they establish themselves at the beginning of the game. Can they do so in every game in this bracket?
But Gavin Lowe is unstoppable. There's just not another word. He's relentless defensively. But then you mix in Kane Jackson. They did not have him for every game this year. Had some injuries. He's back and healthy. Adam Bywater, who's a football kid, double-digit scorer. There are a lot of pieces. Gavin Lowe gets a lot of headlines. You mentioned Lazarus. There's other guys around him that make this team really complete for Olympus. This will be a team I think a lot of people expect to make a run. Let's talk about another team out of Region 6, Highland.
Yeah, these two played each other so tough both times, Olympus and Highland. But the Rams, I just love their toughness, their tenacity, their grit. Watching a couple clips from their game when they played against the Vikings in Viewmont, obviously the heavy favorite when they played that game, but they were just able to show that they can win anywhere, anytime, any place. I love where Coach Jones has this team. How about Jordan Oberholzer this year, averaging almost 15 points per game, almost 5 assists a contest as well. I think they also need to set the tone early and avoid trying to attempt comebacks in this playoff. I think they're built to win when they establish themselves in the first quarter, like their region foe in Olympus.
Bodie Dodge, Grady Lee, Soren Reese, Isaiah Drissom, they all average double figures. I mean, there's so many options for Coach Jones' group. And you see, they did get that win at Olympus. This is a group that can play with anyone in 6A and be so interesting to watch how it unfolds. Have a look at this Region 6. Look, Alta, high expectations for them. You talk about Viewmont as a potential dark horse in this tournament, Nate.
Yeah, dark horse. I just like the way that they've played. Obviously, the extremely tough competition they've had in teams like Olympus, Highland, and Bountiful. And obviously, we'll get to it later on in the show, but I think I like Woods Cross as well as a potential team to make a run here. I think the potential matchup of Olympus and Highland moving on the year. I loved their 2 games they played earlier this year. Obviously, they played last year in the tournament. That seems like just a really good rivalry to me that could just explode to extreme drama here in this tournament.
Speaking of rivalry, Bountiful, Woods Cross, you see those two. We'll talk about them later. Great year for Bountiful. They've been fantastic with Lincoln Smith, but we'll touch on Woods Cross a little bit. There's a note around the Wildcats, but we'll come back and we'll touch on that one later as we get to some other topics. Let's move on, and let's talk next up about the Cypress Pirates. Region champs out of region for 15-game winning streak for Coach Trey and his group.
Yeah, obviously last year they lost to Highland in the second round, and they're expecting to move obviously a lot further than that this year. I think the key will be surviving potentially the quarters and the semis. Can they play their best against the good teams to give themselves a shot against the great ones? I think the Pirates have some great players in Faceta averaging 18.1 points per game, Beckham Bales averaging 15.8. Pirates have a good side of the bracket to rely on to get themselves farther in the tournament, but I just like to see how do they play against those first teams specifically in a potential move on before they play those top 3 seeds.
You mentioned Fosta, you mentioned Bayless. I gotta mention my guy, Alan Haji Alyagic. Just a sophomore. He's a big, he can step out, shoot the 3. He's a load inside as well. This is a complete roster for Coach Trey Smith and Cypress. I'm really interested to see how things may progress. Let's talk about another region champ, the Roy Royals, a 10 seed. I was a little surprised, a 10 seed, but man, they are playing their best ball of the year.
Yeah, and obviously they're going to have a region matchup with Clearfield in that first round, but I kind of like the matchup when they play Springville, potentially moving on in the second. I think it's similar to Cypress. I'm interested to see how do they play against these first matchups before they play tough competition. And I think Springville is tough competition if they move on to that next round because of the depth of that region. So Roy, with a chance to show that experience they've had with an 18-5 overall record, 10-2 in region play, and show who they are in this postseason tournament.
A couple things about this Roy group. Boston Greenhall, who's had a fantastic career, has a chance to be the all-time scoring leader for the program by the time it's all said and done. You look at Anthony Parker, he's a youngster, but that guy can score. And then they've got a guy on the inside in Jesse Jones. I think 12 and 8, I believe, is his average. He can step out and shoot it as well. Been a really, really good year for him. When we talk about 5A here, Nate, you talk about the 1 seed versus the field. If you had to make a pick, Tim, you're the 1, where are you going?
I think Tim Few has just been so dominant, not only against the 5A classification, but the state as a whole. It's just hard not to pick them. And I'm saying that as an Olympus graduate myself. Tim Few is just extremely impressive. You mentioned multiple D1 commits, but the way they're playing as a team right now, not only offensively, but as you mentioned, defensively, they're a team that's extremely complete. Now, that's not to say that the field doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
I'm just saying right now, if I were a betting man, I would take Tim Few to run the course and get a state championship.
You know who's taking the field? Not me, but Coach Barnes and his coaching staff, they're taking the field because last year no one gave Olympus a shot in that game either, and Gavin Lowe delivered them to victory. So to your point, this is not a foregone conclusion that Tim Few's your state champion.
Yeah.
But they have looked to be the best team, but we'll see when it's all said and done.
And I would also say besides Olympus, the other Region 6 team in Highland and Coach Jones' squad,
great one.
As I mentioned, they've played Olympus really tight. So, Tim Few is obviously the best of the best, but I mean, those next seeds right below them are neck and neck. And if they can get themselves a shot at playing Tim Few, there is obviously more than a chance that these teams can come out with a state championship. And as I mentioned, I'm just excited for those matchups to happen because Tempe, you can come in, obviously you're expecting to win.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. And I think with Olympus and Highland and other high seeds, they can come in saying, hey, we know we're good, but now people are saying we're undervalued.
Yeah.
And we can prove to the rest of the state, hey, in Olympus's case, like I mentioned, you're in the middle of a dynasty right now. You have 5 state titles. Coach Barnes, one of the most winningest coaches of all time in the state of Utah. And he has a chance to do it again.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about Timpview, rightfully so, but he could be saying, like you mentioned, hey, talk about us again. We're still winning.
You got a dark horse in 5A, team or two to keep an eye on?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, I know I'm keeping it in the same region, but I think Woods Cross is a dangerous team to watch. And I think the way that they're set up in this tournament in the bracket to move forward, I don't think it's too much of a hot take to say that Woods Cross has a relatively doable path to make it to the quarterfinals, potentially beyond. Like I mentioned with other teams, I like the experience that they've had with other teams in their region. And we're mentioning the same teams over and over, but teams like Olympus and Highland, they beat Highland. Like, they have the capability to defeat these top seed teams. Why can't they do it again when it matters?
They beat Highland late in the year.
Yeah.
It was a huge win for that program. And you talk about the experience there with Bendinger and then the guys around him. Coach Marquette's always such a great job. I'll give you one more to keep an eye on. PG. We talked about they split the 2 games that they played with Orem. They would have to match up against Orem, then potentially Wasatch. There's a lot of familiarity they have on their path, and they got great length with Blackett and company as well. Vikings would be one that I might say, keep an eye on the 12. But
yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think the Vikings played 6A teams very well when they matched up.
Yes, they did. They have a lot of impressive wins this year.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really set them back was they went through offensive droughts in tough competition games where they weren't able to just get over that hurdle, come back and win those close games. But the problem is they still played them close. So that's my question mark is Pleasant Grove has the ability, like you mentioned, but can they just, if they have experienced that drought, because this game is a game of runs, can they themselves make a bigger run to come back?
Let's move to 6A. We want to talk some of these 6A storylines as well. Let's dive in. Let's start first with the Westlake Thunder. The #1 seed, great year for the Thunder here once again.
Yeah, as mentioned when we revealed the bracket, what an impressive year for Coach Carling's squad to go undefeated for that long of a period. Led by, really, their whole starting lineup is impressive. And Graydon Anderson, Malik Sika, Brody Thompson, Lincoln Norwood. The key for me right now is where's their mindset at coming off of their first back-to-back losses of the year against Mountain Ridge and Harriman. I think the key for them is can their half-court play keep them in these games? They rely a lot on perimeter shooting. So when that shooting falls, when the buckets don't drop as much, can their defense help them out to make a comeback potentially if they find themselves behind?
They have maybe the best starting 5 just in terms of versatility and depth from a scoring perspective. It feels like they have 5 of the same guys. Feel like they're all 6'4", they can all shoot, they can all drive. Great year for Coach Carling. But let's talk about this Region 2 because it wasn't just Westlake. This was a 3-way region championship. Westlake, the #1 seed. You see Bingham and Harriman both there, the 3 and 10. Again, your seed lines there on the left. 3-way tie, and Harriman getting the sweep over Westlake.
Last night was a movie because you had 3 games you had to pay attention to. Obviously, Westlake and Harriman playing each other. I was fortunate enough to be able to call that game so I could witness what was going on with all these storylines. But Harriman had to beat Westlake, obviously, to get a share of the region title. Bingham defeated Riverton. So, as you mentioned, a 3-way tie for region champion. And the depth of Region 2 is extremely impressive. We mentioned when we revealed the bracket, even though Cedar Valley comes in as the 17 seed, the experience that they've had playing teams like Westlake, Bingham, and Harriman, even Mountain Ridge, that can come into play. And I just think across the board, this region has been the most impressive.
It's got a lot of offense. You mentioned Mulford for Harriman, but Luke West for Bingham has been absolutely impressive. 21 points per game this year. Snedeker, 19. Miners co-region champs. I feel like Bingham, a 3 seed, this is a team that is as good as any in 6A right now.
Yeah, and I really like the Miners. I think another key win that maybe not a lot of people pay attention to because it's out of 6A and it's out of the region, that win against Olympus early on in the year in overtime when Luke West was able to hit a buzzer beater to win by 1, again, against a really good team in the Titans. And the Miners were able to play Westlake really close. I really like how they're set up. And As a 3 seed, geez, that's such a good draw as a 3 seed, because when you're moving forward in the bracket, they could play against AF moving forward, and I could see them. I know it's maybe they're a dark horse as a 3 seed, but I like the way the Miners are set up.
Well, you see, they beat AF when they played them earlier this year. The top is very even here in 6A. Let's move on. We want to talk about those Cavemen, because Region 3 champs, preseason #1 pick, and they've got a great duo in Mella and Clark.
Yeah, I think the key is that the amount of quality of wins they've had can set them up for this postseason run. They defeated Lone Peak twice, Layton, Skyridge, Davis, Highland, and they barely lost to TIFU, as you see right there on the screen, by 2 points, which I think is something, again, not a lot of teams can say when they played the T-Birds this year. So, and they've been on a roll right now since January, so they have momentum, they have the resume. I think the Cavemen are set up very well right now as the 2 seed.
You know who scored the last bucket in the regular season of boys basketball in the state of Utah? Jax Clark. He might be one of my favorite players. 16 and 8, his averages this year. He's a load inside. He'll step out a little bit as well. Love what he brings. But let's talk about Region 3, because this region, obviously AF, the region champs, Lone Peak, Skyridge, Corner, Lehigh. Look at how even the rest of this region is. Any given night, these teams can pull off a win.
And I know the typical conversation with these schools in the state is usually revolved around football. Boy, what a basketball season. And just as you mentioned, it's kind of like that old school Pac-12, maybe the current Big 12, where everyone just beats up on each other in football, but obviously in basketball. I really like, as you mentioned, Lone Peak and Corner Canyon, I think is a dramatic way to start out this tournament with the 8-9 matchup. But across the board, these teams have the capability of beating top teams in the state. And the experience they have playing each other with not a team below the 13 seed, extremely impressive and something to hang your hat on as you move forward in the postseason.
Skyridge started the region 0-4, ended on a 3-1 run. They've got a lot of confidence right now. Obviously, that 8-9 matchup, Lone Peak Corner, will be super, super interesting. But we talk about this region. Let's move now to Region 1. Let's start with Layton. The Layton Lancers, man, they've been so good this year, but they've had their moments where it's like, man, great this night, and the next night it's like, oh, not their best game.
Yeah, and Layton is another program that is expected to win in basketball. They've created such a great program up there. But as you mentioned, it's spotty at times. And I think it's similar to a team like Davis, where you have potential to beat the top teams in the state, but you can't falter in those opening round games. And so that's going to be my question mark is, how do they play first against those lower tier opponents before potentially moving on in the tournament? Obviously, great wins against teams like Lone Peak and Davis and Syracuse. But then, as you mentioned, you might have some questionable losses along the way.
Carter Miller can catch fire from long range, and he's not just a three-point shooter. He'll drive. He'll also dish it out, get Randall going, Godridge going. There's a lot of power in this lineup for Coach Kelby Miller. But we'll see if they can put that together over a sustained run in the state tournament. Let's talk about another team out of this region, that being the Davis Darts. It looked like Davis had their moments where they're going on runs, and then the last game of the year, last night, kind of stubbed their toe.
Yeah, and that score just really surprised me. I was going into prep this week fully expecting that Davis would come out with a win last night, but as I just mentioned with Layton, they play up and down to their opponents, and I believe they have a team of threats when they are on fire. Guys like JT Turley, Cameron Brower, multiple players averaging in the double figures. You have a coach with state title experience. But they need to play their best night in, night out in this tournament to move forward. They're coming off of, obviously, a great run last year.
Yep.
So with that experience, knowing what it takes to get that far in the tournament, can they do so again? I just think, like Layton, there's question marks, but also there's a lot of potential there to make another deep run.
A lot of potential. Bodie Sparrow, Trayden Bessinger, familiar names from the Gridiron. Obviously, they were both contributors on that state championship team last year. JT Turley, who can drive. They can shoot the ball extremely well. This Davis team, they have the weapons to do it. Really interesting coming in as that 5 seed, because they would take on Layton in that 4 or 5 matchup if they both get it out of that second round, and that'd be the way we'd start off up at the Huntsman Center.
Yeah.
Pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
We talked about if you were to look at this 6A state tournament and go kind of one versus the field, where are you thinking here, Nate?
On 6A, I'm going to take the field. And I know that may be a hot take because Westlake obviously has been so dominant and winning for a majority of the year. But across the board, we talk about teams with potential. They may not have gotten as many wins, but what they showed in spurts could prove useful moving on in the tournament. And I know Westlake is playing a potential winner of Corner Canyon and Lone Peak. Those are the 8 and 9 seeds. But as we just mentioned, that's a deep region in Region 3. That experience, even as a lower seed, could prove useful when they match up against the Thunder moving on. So I'm going to take the field on this one. I just think there's too much potential across the board. I mean, we could go back through and just talk about every team in 6A, and I could say, I see your case, I see your point, and so I'm going to take the field on this one.
You know, I feel like 6A is one of those where whoever puts together the best 4-game stretch, because all these teams have had great wins and have had someone that's like, oh, I thought they would have won that game, right? 4-game stretch, whoever puts that together, I mean, they could be, this is a very, very deep 6A state tournament. Is there a team that you think could be a dark horse? And we talk about how deep it is, but is there a lower seeded team that you're like, that's a team I would keep my eye on?
So one that I think I would keep an eye on could be Davis or the winner of Harriman Skyridge. So Harriman Skyridge is that 7-10 matchup. And typically, when you're looking at other brackets, you know, looking at March Madness, stuff like that, that 7-10 matchup is usually highly touted for obvious reasons. Harriman coming back, sparking such a great run, having a leader like Carlo Mulford, who's now, as I mentioned before, the all-time leading scorer in program history, he's able to put a team on his back. I think that can be a real difference maker when you get into the postseason. When things go cold, do you have a player that can step up? I think Harriman has that. And I think Davis has that. I think JT Turley can be a player that does that. That he can shoot when other guys are maybe finding it cold from the offensive side of the floor. I know Westlake is obviously the 1 seed, and I really would like to see them make a run just because of how magical the season has been.
Yeah.
Being able to witness that and see the turnaround with the seniority, as you mentioned, with the great depth of players across the board. I think it would be awesome to see them make a magical run, but as we mentioned, I just think there's too much potential across the board to just say, I'll take Westlake right now.
I was thinking that Skyridge-Harriman game as well as a potential dark horse. Harriman, again, you know, 3-way tie for region champion. Harriman was one of them. And it's not just Mulford. You have Stone Tia. You also have Xavier Mulford on that roster. They all have a double-figure scoring. And Skyridge has great bounce at the top as well with Mosteller, Gentry. You know, that is going to be a super intriguing second-round game. And I think the winner of that one does have great options. Now, again, AF is no slouch.
No.
But this 6A bracket is just so deep. There really doesn't seem to be a favorite for me. And that's what I think is going to make this so much fun.
Yeah, and that's, I believe, the difference between the 5A and the 6A brackets. We talk about a team like Tempe that is, as we've seen so far in the regular season, a cut above the rest, just looking at the eye test and looking at the statistics. But when you look at 6A, not only the depth among teams, but the depth among regions, because they have experience playing each other, I just think any team, like you mentioned, can step up on any given night. And I'm so excited for this bracket. This is going to be so fun to watch. So as a basketball fan, please tune in because this is going to be such fun basketball to watch.
It's going to be awesome. We're going to have postseason streams for you on KSL Sports on the app or online. We'll also have all the semifinals and championships from 5A and 6A on KSLSports.com. Download the app. Click the QR code there. Download it or from your app store and catch all these games on the app or on KSLSports.com as we take you to state champions just a couple weeks away. Come join us at the Huntsman Center or on the stream on KSL Sports. Thank you for joining us. For Nate Thatcher, my name is Dane